Pizza back to code with Gabriel section, and in this module we are going to be talking about objects. So I'm just going to put this up real quick. Objects of everything in JavaScript is all about objects. As a matter of fact, once you are able to understand objects, you understand JavaScript. So JavaScript objects. So you are welcome to JavaScript objects. JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. Once you understand the basic sequence about objects, you are able to understand the basic sequence about JavaScript. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. As a matter of fact, let's clear all this up. Okay, the first thing we are going to do is to create a function again. You can be asking me why function. So that is going to be our call. So we're just going to create a function of call. So we'll call ourselves. We want to be calling this on load, not we just want to call this on load. So this is call, so which is going to be the array value. Let's go ahead and do it. So to create an object in JavaScript, all you need to do is to declare a variable that holds it. You can say let, so it's going to be my object obj equals to, then followed by the curly bracket or curly parentheses. So this is how to just declare an object in JavaScript, and the syntax actually goes like, okay, this is my object, then the name of my object is Gabriel, and the age of the object is 10, like that. So what we are trying to order to here is just like an object in real life, in a real scenario. Let me just take it out of computer science. In other kind of field in life, we believe that everything is based on objects, and that is why in chemistry they believe everything is based on matter. So matter is anything that have mass and that can also occupy space. So, and when we are talking about an object is going to have a property and a method. So the property of an object, I'm going to use car as an example, because car is an object. So the property of a car is to make sound of owning, like pim pim, like that. So another property of it is to accelerate, to be able to move from one place to another, to hit the brake, which means to stop, and those are the property, and to reverse, to it can also reverse. And what are the method of method involving, sorry, I just mentioned method instead of property. Let me just start again. When you talk about the property of a car, so it's deal with its color, its weight. Like the color of a car can be black, it can be red. The weight of the car of a car can be like 400 or 500 kilogram or 1000 kilogram. I've never seen a car like that before. That's fun. So those are the property that it possesses. So the method of it is like it can move forward, it can reverse, it can accelerate, it can stop, it can make sound, like that. So what about human being? So the property of a human being is to have a head and two legs. So anybody that have three legs, we probably know is not a human being, is abnormal. So, and the method of us is to be able to move from one place to another, to drink, to eat, to think, to initiate, to have a good human relationship and all. So now just look at this one, that we are creating a person, a human being, that we give a name right here, and that is where the objects take place. So when you begin to see an object as a human being, you're going to understand the concept behind it. So the object right here, so this is a human being, I'm call it my object, and we have the name. So we have a name for it, then we have a age for it. We can even go ahead and have a class for it. So I just say class is a JavaScript, so it's a JavaScript student. Then we can have some property like, okay, status of this is still student because it's not an instructor. All right, good. So we've already created our object. How do we actually want to go ahead and start accessing our object with JavaScript? So to access our object is very simple. Since we have our output, we just need to declare the output as usual. Document, or we get the element by the ID of their output. Okay, real quick. So to print out our object, we can just say output dot inner HTML equals to my object, like there. So that's all. Let's just refresh this real quick. Okay, sorry, refresh this real quick. You can see we are having what's it called, we are having it displaying as object. So the reason why I have this open up right on the page for you is for you to know that I'm following this sequence of these are what's it called of these I'm following this sequence of these course outline from W3 school. So that's what I'm using. And if you really going to flow along with me, realize that we've not even touched 10% of JavaScript, and that is why I didn't want to rush to mobile developing until I finish JavaScript. There are lots of them, but I will try to shrink it down because I'm already shrinking it down in a way that you can quickly understand. And so this is just objects like there we have. So when the next one come in, I just pop it up. So stay with your W3 school is very important. All right, let's continue. So this one is just print out object, and that's what we are going to get on your page to know that okay, you have an object, and that's how JavaScript recognize it. Unlike our radar is going to print out the whole value of it. So what you can just do right here is just like okay, maybe you want to get the property of this, which is going to be like okay, the name. I want to get the name, I want to get the class, I want to print it out. So you can just go ahead and create okay name, then we can concat it with my object dot name like that. So if you refresh this, you see we have name, which is equals to Gabriel already. Then I would like to put this on a new line, then add the concatenation here and put this on a new line. So we can do like age is we want to add this plus my object dot age, and you can see, so I want to break the line, sorry, so I'm having the BR so everything looks neat to me. So then we need the plus right here. Good, that's not too bad. So it's a name is Gabriel, age is Gabriel. So let's go ahead and pull out the old information about this guy. So to do that, it's very simple. So just concatenate, then we write the next. We can say class equals to my object dot. So dots is like then dot class. You can print out the break line too. That's number, plus it out, then right here you can print out the status. So status my object dot status plus okay. It doesn't matter if you use double quote or single quote, it's still going to work. It's going to go. So we'll push this information out now. So the name, the name, the age, the class, and the student right here. So let's just go ahead and manipulate this object. How can you manipulate the value of an object in JavaScript? So to manipulate the value of an object in JavaScript, you can just easily do like my object dot name like this equal to Joe. So if I refresh this now, we are able to change the value of this guy of the Gabriel to Joe. So we're able to manipulate its value like there. And this is not a class, so I feel like if we can do like if we can add to my object dot language dot lang equal to JavaScript. Oh my god, what's up with JavaScript? So we can just embed it right here and do something like language like there. Okay, now JavaScript is a bad thing to put right there. So my object dot lang like there. I feel like it's cool, right? So let's just do the language of this. It's not JavaScript, seriously, it's English. So let's refresh this. So we have the language to be now set to English, even though we don't actually have anything that looks like language right here. So this is how you can add and you can manipulate the value of an object. And let's say you want to delete the value of an object, it should work the same way. Delete, we can just say delete my object dot age if it's not going to throw any error at all. So I've done this for a long time, so it says undefined now. So it actually says undefined now, which is very good. Another thing to do is to change this to null. To change the value of my object dot name is to change it to null, my object dot age rather. So we can say it's null. So nullify, which is empty, says null, which means we have deleted it, or you decide to just empty it with a string value. So it said it's empty now. So there's nothing like age, we just go ahead and print on my object dot age. Hey, that is how you can go ahead and manipulate objects. So let me show you the secret of objects real quick, and that's because everything in JavaScript is based on objects. So alright, okay, I'll just comment this out. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create a little JavaScript that looks like, that mimic the behavior of a JavaScript. Then you are going to see how it's going to work. So I'm going to say let my frame, so I'm just going to call it frame, and I use my framework. So my framework is equals to this object. So the name of my framework, which means that what it actually does is print printer. Let me just say custom printer. So custom printer, which means that it's just going to be the one that will be printing out the, instead of you doing the document or get element by ID, you'll be using my own personal frame to do the custom printing. And right here, this is it. I'm going to have a function. I'm going to create a function right here. Okay, and that function is going to take an argument of like what you want to print out. So xtd out, so which is stand for standard output. Then I'm going to be grabbing document your get element by ID. So what I want to do is that I want to create two things, so two parameter here. The first parameter is the ID. So I'm just going to ask for the ID of the element that you want to put in. Then I'm going to say okay, get it by the value of ID. Then there's inner HTML equals to then xtd out. So this really looks like, what am I doing here? And that is because I've tried to study JavaScript a lot and I understand how they actually work. So this is my framework, my little framework here. You're going to see how it's going to work, and you're going to realize everything in JavaScript, it's based on objects. That's what I want to prove. So if I'm alpha, I can even decide to put that outside as a global variable. So it will be better if it's outside. In fact, we can even use this guy. So let's just use the property that we have before. So instead of doing these dots in HTML or blah 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 like that, instead of doing document dots in this in HTML, I'm going to delete this, then delete this also. So what I'm going to do is to keep this inside a variable. I'm going to say let my output, so let my output equals to this, because these are the things that we are actually trying to take outside. These are actually the things that we're trying to print. So it's time to use our frame now. So we can just do something like, so sorry, let have a curly brace scope. So I'm going to use var variable now. So I'm going to use var. So let's leave this output down. Let's text our framework. So I can say frame, let me just say alert or frame dot name. So the name of my framework, so if I see you say custom printer is the name of my framework, then I have custom printer printouts here. So that's not what I want to use. So what I actually want to use here, right here is the function now. So I didn't specify the name of this, so I need to actually specify it like print like that. So I'm just going to grab on the function real quick, so it's gone. You have the understanding what I want to do here. So what I want to do here is to create another object right within here and call it print you want to bring this in color. Okay, so print real quick, then I'm going to paste this right here. So it's like objects that contains objects. So print, I can't use this print. Does it look like it actually looks like it's a function? So let's just go by. Okay, let's see where I'm having issue. How many bracket am I supposed to have? Okay, I'm going to check this out. So this is 1, this is 2, then it's going to be 3 right here. It's going to be 3, it should be 3. Okay, what's the error that I'm having? So I'm having like function property any xd in xd out followed by this parentheses. Okay, I didn't need the parentheses, so let me just do this real back real quick. Okay, good. Let's do the framework now. So we're just going to have print, which is equals to, then I'm going to go by the name of function, then I'll do this real quick so it's nice now. So we need to ask for the ID, there we need to ask for xd out, which is standard outputs, and right here we need to just do like, okay, the document, we just want to do a document dot get element by ID of the ID dot inner HTML of is equals to xd out. We don't care what this is meant to be or what is going on right here. All we actually care about a lot is just give us the ID and what you want to print out, then we'll do it for you with this short code that I'm about to use right here. So I'm just going to do like something like, we are not highlighting here, so this is not about alerts anymore. So we just want to print out something, so let's use it. So frame dot print, so you can just use frame dot print, then what's the ID of the of our where we want to print it to. So the ID is output. We can just go ahead and say output. Then what do we want to print? We want to print my output. So this is going to work. It's funny how it's going to work, but trust me, it's going to work. Let's refresh this. So it works. Can you see? So instead of doing, look at this little framework I created right here. So instead of just doing to be doing document does this, so I tried to summarize the whole thing into one line of code instead of just doing every time variable output, doing document does get element by ID of this, and I'm able to do this with the use of objects in JavaScript. So if you realize, JavaScript always love to do a syntax like this. So you can see this is the ID that I want to use, and this is the output, the variable. So I keep the what I want to print out inside the variable, I put inside the variable, then I'm able to just print it out here. If I didn't put inside a variable, I can decide to copy and paste all this guide and paste it right here. It's still going to work in the same way. So frame dot print output, then my output, and now it works. So this is just nothing but the power of objects. So just go ahead, think of a framework to do how, instead of writing like a bunch of lines of code, I wanted to go ahead and write a very simple line of code like this. So the name of my custom, this is print, is custom printer, then it's print into the inner HTML. Then you can even specify the type or where we want to print to. So is it inner HTML, is it the we want to alert, or you want to put inside the console? Anyway, all right, thank you guys.